Hey guys, it's Justine. For this video I wanted to share with you my experience with having Lyme's disease, which is when you're bit by a tick, because my experience I just recently realized was so bizarre, and it's the sort of thing where you want to get it diagnosed early because then you can be completely cured, because if it's diagnosed later, and it's one that doesn't have a lot of obvious symptoms, but the later it is diagnosed, then the less chance of curing it completely. So what happened is I was living in New Jersey a few years ago, and I would take my little dog Sadie out to walk often, and there was lots of woods and deer and things like that. And granted, we were never next to the deer, but apparently they were there all the time. And one day I woke up and I found a tick in my bed, which was, number one, disgusting, but number two, just freaked me out. So I was like, did I get bit while I was sleeping? And I had no idea. And I didn't really think much of it because I never got, it's called the bullseye, which is like a red bullseye on your body. That's typically, could be one of the symptoms, and I never got that. So I really didn't think about anything. But for the next 2 weeks I felt my main symptoms were I was really tired. I had this stiff neck back here, and it was very strange. It was a very strange feeling. And the main symptom I had, which was interesting, is that anytime I ate anything, I felt like it got stuck, like right here. So, and my stomach would kind of hurt. So I could eat, a carrot or a cracker or, something healthy, soup or something, but whatever I ate, it always hurt right here. So I actually couldn't eat very much, and it was very strange. Now the way things happen, and there's always somebody upstairs looking out for you, I believe. I had just started going to, I wanted to try out colonics for cleansing. I know they're kind of weird, but I found this place in New Jersey, and I went in to check it out. And I asked the lady who owned the place, I said, well, how in the world, honestly, do you get into this? And she said, well, what happened is 4 years ago, my family, there's 4 of them in her family, and they were all, something was wrong with them. They kept going from doctor to doctor. Nobody could figure out what the issue was, but they were just getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And they've tested for Lyme's and all these things, because what can happen too is when you first test for it, you can get a false negative, which means you really have it, but it comes up negative. But anyway, so in her quest to try to cure her family, because she was in another field before that, she discovered that colonics helped rid the body of the toxins, and through finally being diagnosed with it and changing their diet and doing all these things and adding the colonics, she was able to cure her entire family of that. So she attributed colonics to helping them cure each other. So that's what I'm like, so that's how you get into this, because it's a strange, honestly, it's a strange business. But so I had just seen her and found out that story, and then I had this stiff neck thing, and I found the tick, and I happened to have an appointment scheduled with her. And I went in, and she's like, there's something off with you. It's like, really? I didn't know this woman from anything. I'd only met her once. And she said, well, I know you're in the health and fitness industry, and you're a wellness person, and, there's something off with you. I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like myself. I'm tired. My neck hurts. I'm just, like, my head hurts. I'm just tired. Weird. And she said, well, go get tested. Okay. And granted, after my reading, I knew that chances are the test could come out negative, even if it was positive. So I was praying, I'm like, okay, God, if I do have it, please let it be positive. So I show up at the doctor, and I felt, kind of weird because I didn't have the ink, the red eye, the bullseye, and I'm describing my symptoms, and the doctor, half of them don't pay any attention to you for more than 30 seconds. I'm like, I just want this test. And he's like, okay, fine. So a few days later, I'm literally driving to go to the airport to go to Miami for a vacation. And I get a phone call, and it's the doctor's office, and it said, we have your results. I said, oh, really? What? And she said, well, you tested positive for Lyme's. And I'm driving, I'm like, this is when you could be on the phone in New Jersey. So don't worry about that. And I said, okay, so what's the regimen? And she said, well, you have to go on antibiotics for 30 days. And me being a non-medicine person, unless it's absolutely an emergency, was sort of having a freak out. I said, okay, well, I'm going to Miami right now. Could we call in the prescription down there? So we did work it out. So, You can't really, when you're on medicine, you can't drink. So Miami without alcohol is an entirely new experience. It's still fun, but it's not the same. So I get to Miami and I go get my prescription. So the initial antibiotic is like the standard one that everybody's prescribed. And I called the colonic lady. I said, well, this is what they gave me. What do you think? She's like, no, 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 you don't want that one. You want this other one. It begins with a D. So that's the one that I took for 30 days. Now, granted, being a health person, I knew that taking antibiotics can really, can cause yeast infections and can cause yeast overgrowth and sugar and carbs cravings and all these things, because antibiotics kill all the bacteria in your body, not just the good stuff. It kills the good and the bad. I mean, not just the bad stuff. So I asked her about that as well. So what I did, because I had to take the antibiotic 3 times a day, so I would take the antibiotic, and then a few hours later I would take a super high dose of probiotics. There's this brand called Raw, which I love. It's refrigerated. You can find it in any health food store or vitamin shop or any of those. And it's like 85 billion good bacteria per serving. So I would take the antibiotic, a few hours later take the probiotic, a few hours later take the antibiotic, and so on and so forth. So I had 6 different things that I was doing during the course of the day. You don't want to take them at the exact same time. You just want to space them out. So, honest to goodness, 30 days of that, I did not get a single yeast infection. I did notice there was probably a little bit of yeast overgrowth just because I started to crave like sugar and simple carbs at the very end of the 30 days. But for going that long and not having crazy cravings, that's pretty darn good. And what's interesting too is when your body is fighting a disease like that, it creates extra cortisol in the body, which creates belly fat, and a person can gain weight. So I did put on a few pounds, even though I was exercising, even though I was eating right and doing all the things that I was supposed to do. But that's just because the body's fighting so hard to heal itself. And I finally found, if you ever do need a doctor, there's a specialist in New Jersey. This is what he specializes in. He's awesome. So after the end of the 30 days, I went back to him, and I had all these additional tests. There's like 3 or 4 different things they test for just to make sure that there's nothing left in the body. Because luckily, again, I caught it within 2 weeks of being bit. So I'm completely cured, but he said that sometimes if a person, especially if it's undiagnosed for a while, they could put on like 100 pounds in just a few months, because that's how much stress the body's under fighting this autoimmune disorder. So I just thought that that would be helpful for somebody to know that, number 1, you can be cured of it, and number 2, if you've been camping or in some sort of woodsy area or been around deer or hunting or whatever it is, and you feel a little tired, you feel off, like just something's, maybe your joints ache and you're just not right, you might want to get tested for it, because you never know. You just go to the regular doctor, you ask for a Western blot for Lyme's, and then if it shows up negative and you're still not feeling right, then you can go see a specialist. Alright, so I'm Justine. My website is happyhealthypeople.com. Also, I'm on Facebook under Happy Healthy People. And I like to post videos to help as many people as possible be happy and healthy. Alright, I'll talk to you soon.